Yeah, so I'm making this video, right, based on a response of a video I seen in a WhatsApp group. And it was this man. I'm not really for sure his ethnicity. He appears to be possibly Arabian white, a little bit of black, or Latino, a little bit black. Based on the topic of discussion, the ethnicity does matter in this discourse. But let's continue on. The premises of his video was to express how society, he's really talking about men, but he states that society should have a more understanding of what women go through, as if there's more than male and female in our society or something, right? And so he gives an example of his marriage and says, my wife, she had to change her last name. I didn't have to change my last name. Like, these are his arguments to prove that why a woman goes through so much. She changed her last name. I didn't have to change my last name. She changed her friends. I didn't have to change my friends. She got pregnant for 9 months. I didn't have to get pregnant. I didn't get pregnant for 9 months. She had to change her eating habits. I didn't have to change my eating habits. Like, oh, gee, golly, like women go through so much. I'm like, really? I don't see anything difficult besides the 9 months. I think that is the most difficult thing a woman has to go through besides submitting onto the husband as onto the Lord. Those are the only two difficult things that a woman has to go through, comparison to a plethora. Do I need to get a list of the things that men go through? Do I need to state some arguments of what men have to go through? The fact that a man has to lead the woman, he has to put on a hat as a brother, as a father, as a husband, as a king, as a lord. These are not what people don't understand. Those are very challenging roles if you do things the way that God expects you to handle things. Like, to wash your woman with the word, like, you have to be patient, you have to be gentle, you have to be loving, you have to deal with their emotional irregulations. You got to deal with when they get irrational. You understand? That's difficult. That is not something that is small. And women will cut you with their words, they'll cut you with their behaviors, and you got to be forgiving on to the umpteenth time. They don't have to do that. And then you have to deal with the spirit of the serpent that tries to move through them or because of them, because now that you're married, because they're trying to get to you through them. Women, they got to go through that. You're the hedge of protection. They got to be like babies in your care. All they got to do is honor you and adore you. They don't have the overwhelming responsibilities of how we're going to survive unless you give those particular instructions. But really, that's your assignment. How are we going to be guarded? Like, those are your primary responsibilities. Whether you delegate it to them for assistance, for aid, they aid you in areas when you say you need aid. But you're the primary caregiver. You're the primary provider. You're the primary protector. All these areas, that's your responsibility. And there's layers to those things. You got to protect them from themselves. You got to protect them when you get a certain way. Let me step out the way. They ain't got to step out the way. They can just, and you got to be able to understand and take that. Yes, you correct them. Hey, don't treat me like this. But you got to have grace when you're doing that. You got to step out the way. You got to have another outlet somewhere. For them, you have to be the outlet. That says like the Lord, bring your burdens onto them. You can't. They can't be the one you lay your burdens onto ultimately, and then you get upset when you're dealing with a woman who can't handle that. You got to take your burdens onto your Father in heaven, first and foremost. If you got elders, your elders, it is a multitude of elders. One elder ain't going to be able to handle it typically, and they're not expected to. One brother may not be able to, one you can pour into all the time, and they're not expected to. But you as the king, you as their Lord, you as their husband, you got to do those things. You understand? Like, come on, man. Come on. Financial responsibilities, yeah, a woman multiplies better than a man, but you got to go and conquer the job for them. You got to go create the opportunity for them. Unless you live in today's society where both of y'all working a 9-to-5 job. And you got to make sure that that is a suitable job. And if you don't like the job she's working, you got to help her go acquire the job. It's not her responsibility. You're her father now. But no relationship typically reflects that here in America. And so even the way that the relationships are reflected here in America, I'm just going to stop because I can keep going on. I'm going to get back to that. I'm going to go on a tangent in this way. Now, if we look at the way marriages are set up today, women barely have any burden still from a carnal standpoint compared to the man. Harder, challenging? No, women are not overlooked. Women are not undervalued. That's not true. Women are worshipped, which is not of God. Who runs the world? Women run the world. How do we know this? Because we believe in the Bible. We know the great abomination. We know that how the feminist movement is going on. The woman is worshipped as God. We know why they're making the movie about a woman, a black woman being Jesus in Hollywood. Women don't have it difficult today. We know how the witches Jezebel is taking dominion over the church. It's impossible to do that in a true patriarchal system. Not that God is patriarchal or matriarchal, but check this out. Obviously, it's a matriarchal system. In order for a spirit like that to dominate, you can't do that in a patriarch system. You can't worship God as a woman, which is a complete lie, in a society where women are undervalued. If anything, in a world where women are overvalued, they're exalted, they're idolized. Can you push genderism? Can you sit here and mutilate young boys? Can LGBT and homosexuality dominate in a feminist society where only black men get awards in movies when they dress like a woman? When they seem less than a woman. Yes, beating on a woman is not a masculine thing. It's a feminine thing. Because women are quick to be feisty and be sassy. That's feminine. Men neglecting their homes, that's feminine. These are the only movies that pushing drama movies where men are abusive, gay, and neglectful. And men wearing dresses. That's where they're getting Oscars. So let's cut all that, man. Let's cut all that. That's not that. And then also, I want to throw this in here too. Black men who hate white men simply because they're white. Men on the corners preaching as if all white people, all people who are not natural Israel, are either going to hell or going to be our subjects forever. That's because of most of these men grew up and raised by single moms. They're traumatized and they're not getting this from the biblical text whatsoever. That's feminine behavior. Once they get a little bit of intellect, once they get a little bit of position of power, they have no emotional regulation, no maturity in those particular areas. Their subconscious and their mentality is still the mentality of a 13-year-old who has been abused, has been neglected. Now that he begins to internalize his experience from a higher overview standpoint, dealing with a slave master, now suddenly these dynamics come into play like, oh, well, it's not my mom, it's not neglection, it's the devil, and it's the white man who's the devil, and these are his breed of children. These are the Edomites that God hate. Come on. But when you get into the word, you don't see that. But why won't you refuse to look at it? The same way a woman needs a man to guide them back to that truth. That's a blessing. The fact that your husband plays a major role and responsibility, that and it's a burden though, to help guiding you into truth. Women don't have it as difficult as a man does. And this is beyond black. I'm not even talking about within what we call the black ethnicity groups and the black communities. I'm talking about in every community around male and female. Women don't have it naturally the way it's supposed to go. And the way that it's going inside the black community, women don't have it harder. Single moms really don't have it harder than the black men. Because black men don't want to be bums. Black men don't want to be bastards. Do you not understand the internal conflict that is going on? Like, let's not like take that one video and just, and I'm quite sure there's hundreds of individuals pushing this kind of agenda. There's hundreds of individuals pushing this agenda, making it seem like, yo, black women, no, and that's not helping, because what we're supposed to do in these last days is help turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the children's hearts to the fathers. It doesn't say turn the hearts of the mothers to the children, No. And people say, well, that's simply because they don't have it, because the women are doing the hard labor work. Really? Is that by choice? Yes. Because when fathers want to be there, they want to tell a father how to be a father, averagely in the black community. In the black community, they want to tell a father how to be a father. In the black community, the woman would divorce a man if he's not making a certain amount of money, not whether he's spending time with the children. Most marriages, most pregnancies and most conceptions of birth were not planned. They were just random. They were based off of lust over both parties. Not non-consensual where he raped you, he drugged you. You chose to lay down with this man. And then you were not in the capacity to operate as a woman, operate as a mother, operate as a wife, and vice versa. But now because of that, you want to cause conflict and contention. And if in order for the man to stay with you, he has to compromise. Because what's been taught to you as a child, a woman is smarter than a man. That's the only thing that you were taught. You wasn't taught that to be submissive onto a husband. You wasn't taught to be more quiet when you're in the presence of men. Women are not supposed to talk as much as men, whether it's their husband or not, or brothers or not. Whether you're in a multitude of presence with women are more quiet, women are more modest, women are more chaste. That's the beautiful qualities of a female. That's the virtue and the mystery of a woman. Women are more modest. They don't show their bodies as much as men. They don't talk as much as men. It's a privilege to see things pertaining to a woman, not just visibly, but invisible qualities. You're not supposed to be so revealing when it comes to words, when it comes to your figure. That's what makes a female, but you don't see that construct today. So how can you talk about hard? You're not even going through, women don't even go through the hardships as a woman supposed to. There's difficulty levels when it comes to women. There's difficulty levels when it comes to men. Women are not even operating in their feminine to begin to talk about the disciplines that a woman has to go through besides getting pregnant. Women are not encouraged nor pushed in situations where they have to act like women today. So you don't understand. So most women can't even tell you about the difficulties of being a woman because you don't have to operate like a woman. It's acceptable and it's okay becoming for women to operate like men. Women can cut down men, talk over men, condescend men, like you hear in the background. Those are a majority of women. That's nothing feminine about that. Trying to dominate a man, there's nothing. Because women are so emotional, they have to show self-control more. Women don't show self-control, but instead, we're supposed to be accepting this behavior. We're supposed to be accepting marrying 5-year-old and 6-year-old women in mentality, but figures as an adult. They got even cartoon Christian memes like this is okay. That's not the case. And you're not expected to cultivate those women. That's being controlling. Now, all of a sudden, I take on women like that, right? Whether marriage or not. And women, on people on the outside, they're friends, you're controlling. You're trying to dominate. If you're trying to help groom your woman, cultivate your woman, and conform your woman. They don't care if you do it with your mom. And then when you do it with your mom, which is my case, I'm telling you about firsthand experience, there's jealousy, there's subtlety. Indirect. Oh, why are you still staying with your mother? I don't have to stay here. She asked me to stay here. So I got to build my mother up. That's what we did back in the day. You don't put a child out at 18. I didn't even grow up with my mother, living in the same home with her. Let's be real. Since I was 11. So let's stop all the capping like I'm one of them. I'm here building up my mother. That's not becoming today. It's okay for women just to be out here like savages. So the biblical way and the carnal way today, women don't have it as difficult. And women hasn't even reached the difficulty levels 95% of the case because they're not required to behave like females. It's not a problem with women not being submissive to a husband. It doesn't matter if she doesn't connect with the children that she brought into this world. It doesn't matter if you're in ministry and your titties are all like this. You know what I'm saying? And you preaching and they bouncing and You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter that if your lipstick looks like it's so red, it's so red, 76,000 hertz on the lips. What does the lips symbolize? Lips are a portal. Lips is a power. And then with passion, it's the thing that speaks life and death. So when you kiss that, it's like you're putting life there. And then lips are an entryway. Why are we putting red here? Why are we putting red on lips? Why are we putting red on lips? Do we not know what red lips symbolize? None of this stuff is a problem today. So what do you talk about? Women don't go through hard stuff today. Everything is overlooked. And we justify because we say men are not there. We justify to say, well, if men were there, so now we justify them not having to be mothers. We're justifying them not having to be modest children of God. What about your relationship with God? Is Father God not there for you though? Is Father God not there for them? Come on now. Is Father God not there for them? Was it not his strength that made them to be a single mom? Where's the honor that he deserves? Where's the flower that he deserves? What is the honor where Jesus deserves? The Son of God, who gave you access to Father God. And guess what? Does he strike these women down? No, he doesn't. So you trying to tell me women got it hard? It was the strength of God, not by your own, that y'all was single moms. It made successful children. So I commend the strength of God that are in women, the beauty of God that are in women. All of that. I love my women. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to make it seem like in any society a woman has it more difficult. In a society where women are allowed to be women. In Islam, women are not allowed to be human, period. So we're not going to use examples like that. But don't make it seem like over here in America, in biblical theological societies, where it's okay to be a Christian, a woman has a problem here. Let's stop the capping. They don't have it harder when it comes to men. And then I'm going to tell you that they don't have it harder at all on a carnal level. Now, I will now throw in a controversy on a spiritual level. Women do have it harder on a spiritual level. But how many of y'all worried about that? Not even in the church. I don't see nobody going out their way wearing their hair wraps. I don't see no one going out their way saying, you know what, Lord, for your sake, I'm going to take these earrings out. I'm going to take off this makeup. I'm going to throw all that stuff out the window. So you can't begin to talk about spiritual battles when you don't step into it. Again, if we get right, if everyone decide to step up, yes, a woman without a husband has it hard. When that woman decides to want to be a woman now and not be a man, she's going to have it difficult because a woman was not made other than for the man. The man was not made for the woman, but the woman was made for the man. Just like the Sabbath wasn't made, the man wasn't made for the Sabbath. The Sabbath was made for the man. So when a woman wants to operate like a woman, yes, she has it difficult, but do we see that in today's society? We don't even see it in the churches. Let's keep it 100. So when the man comes in, the woman has it 10 times easier by herself. That's the reason why, and the purpose of that was to compel the woman to want to be married. That was the whole purpose of that, to compel the woman to want to be married. But if that woman's married, she has it easy. She's like a child. She literally has her life as a child. Ideally, in today's society, she may have to be a Ruth and Boaz. But if they're under the subjection and authority of the Lord, that season will prosper. It'll go to Ezra. She'll be exalted to that level. You know, she'll be like an Abigail. She'll be exalted at a P31. So let's be for real. Doing things God's way. If things are done God's way, and this is my conclusion. If things are done God's way, a woman a woman wouldn't have it difficult. And it's not left up only to the man whether it's done God's way, because you can't. God is not telling us to be the kind of Lord where we put fear into a woman. A woman has to willfully want to submit. He doesn't force submission. That sounds like rape. You can't force yourself into a woman's life. You can't force yourself into authority, unlike in other cultures where you could just buy women and you can beat them or shame them for the rest of their life if they don't want to subject themselves to you. This is not it. This is not the biblical way of doing things. So it's a two-way street. Don't forget that when it comes to that, it's a two-way street.